Guys, we're going to hand it over to Ken Wong. So Ken's an East of England trainee who's at the end has just done the exam recently. So Ken's going to share his experiences with us. And I'm looking forward to this.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. I passed my exam in November sitting, which is the first COVID sitting, and it was a very new experience at the time. People were anxious. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about my practical experience of how the exam went. So the exam's all the way in Glasgow, and for those of us coming up from the south, the best way to get there would, in my opinion, would be to take the train. A train from London King's Cross is 4.5 hours, which is exactly this amount of time you need to skim read Ramachandran if you need to. Not that that works very well. You should have the knowledge by then. If you drive, you'll be tired. You'll waste half a day. If you take a plane during COVID times, then you're someone who takes a plane during COVID times. So I recommend you just take a train. You can take a taxi and then make your way to wherever you're staying. Of course, as always, I recommend booking the hotel itself. Not everyone might be able to get on it. That's okay. Plenty of good options nearby. In the Crowne Plaza Hotel itself, this is an actual view of what your room would look like. So just what you need. It's upstairs from the venue. You need to just take a lift down and then you're right there. The rooms are going for really cheap at the moment. I think it's a 4-star hotel and normally it costs about £290 to book. But now, as of today, it costs about £79 on some websites. So do try to book the exam venue just to eliminate any extra hassle that you need to think about in terms of travel, in terms of weather, and all those things, in my opinion. When you arrive to the hotel, this is a lobby. The lobby is all the way into the background where the reception is, and that's where you book in. This is the canteen restaurant area where during lockdown, early lockdown too, in November when I sat it, this is where we spent breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this was true when the weather is very bad as well. If you look outside, the area around the Crowne Plaza is quite sparse. So you can't exactly just pop out to the nearby takeaway or restaurant to get something to eat. The best thing to do is to stay in the hotel venue and just to order. For those who know Glasgow well, of course, if you know well enough to sort out your own transport, that's a completely different story. Here, traditionally, people were told to book the hotel venue in order to see the examiners and all the patients who might turn up into the canteen. That's obviously not the case in this situation where there are no patients whatsoever. When you're packing your bags, don't bother bringing any of your goniometers, of your tape measures, because those aren't used in the exam. Unless things have changed since my sitting, all you have is an iPad, 2 examiners sitting in front of you, and you usually have a pen and paper in case you wanted to express things diagrammatically. Only use the pen and paper if you feel like it's going to help in your answer. You're not going to get extra points just because you've learned a diagram. Answer the question directly. I didn't have time to vlog during my exam, but this is the actual exam hall. This is a photo taken from the Crowne Plaza website. The room is that big, and they arrange things in 2 long columns. So there'll be rectangular tables in 2 columns, and then you'll be asked to go to your assigned table where there'll be 2 examiners sitting. You sit down, there'll be 30 seconds or a minute of pause when you just take a breather. Then everyone's told to start, and then you go. Your strategy thereafter, which you've been practicing for the last few weeks or months, would then be to just answer the question as people give it to you. You're not allowed to touch the iPad, so don't be tempted. Say, I want to see another view or something like that. When you sit down, you'll have 2 examiners in front of you. It usually is one person asking the question and one person marking. If you had any inkling of interview technique, you'll know that it's nice to make eye contact with both examiners when you're delivering your answer. The art situation can be quite artificial, and we've just heard from Mr. Easter Waring that back in November, the exam was a bit awkward because you would have a consultant pretending to be 14-year-old Abigail with a painful hip. So that caused a lot of confusion. And now you're just asked to say, I would ask the patients X, Y, Z, or I would examine these sort of elements looking specifically for this. Another artificial situation was during the last sitting was that you're not using both your hands to examine the patients. If I ask you to do a Hoffman's test, you're not steadying a hand and you're not flicking the finger. Instead, you have to learn, you have to understand the test well, and you have to be able to articulate exactly what you're doing, what you're holding, what you're stabilizing. When I said I was doing the hook test for biceps, the examiner said, okay, so are you hooking from medial or lateral? So you have to be ready to be to clarify these sort of points when you're challenged. In between the stations themselves, it's very, very quick fire. So by now you would have all had your timetables, and then you can look at what sitting you're doing. You'll see that there are half an hour or an hour and a half slots where there is a kind of onslaught of just station after station after station. There's actually a lot of waiting around time when you're moved as a group to different rooms like this one. You're sitting in a row with everyone else. Sometimes there's an awkward silence. Sometimes people are just catching up and trying to relax. You can use that downtime, of which there is a lot during the exam, to just focus your thoughts and relax. In terms of lunch during the day, this is something that came to my mind. Don't worry, they provide sandwiches. You don't have to bring anything. You don't have to prepare anything. So there will be refreshments in between as well. You can have coffees and you can have water, and there's plenty of time for toilet breaks. If you do manage to book a hotel room in the Crown Plaza, back in November, they were allowing people to book the gym and spa facilities. So if you're the sort of person who doesn't like to be cooped up in your hotel room, you can book your slots and just have a bit of time to relax in the evening, for example, after day one or before day two, if your exam is in the afternoon, then feel free to use their facilities. Or you can just go outside the hotel. As soon as you do, it's the river, it's lovely. Glasgow is very bright and airy, so you can give yourself a lot of headspace during that time. My advice, if I haven't said it already, is just to relax and look after yourself during exam. Don't bother bringing heavy textbooks up or anything like that. Bring a laptop if you want to. Bring your last minute flashcards or notes just to skim read, but don't bother cramming anything too much in the last 24, 48 hours before the exam. Be early to everything. Even if you are on time or slightly late, don't panic. Take one station at a time. They're very quick fire, and you'll be turning your attention between two examiners, and it'll be very, very quick fire. So just be succinct and just take it at a time. Use your waiting time to unwind. Like I said before, you'll have half an hour breaks when you're just sitting in that room. You can catch up with old friends. You can look at your notes, or you can just sit there and meditate. Do whatever you want to just relax. That being said, I did feel it was a very fair process. No curveballs, no unfair questions, no nasty examiners. It should be fine. Work hard and good luck on that. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ken. I feel we missed a trick by not giving a referral code for the Crown Plaza. I imagine there's been an onslaught of bookings during your talk.
I declare no competing interests.